meant to be your general manager. I think it was just meant to be. As to next steps, we're going to dive into this head coaching search and bring a partner for me in this organization that's going to lead us where we want to go.
Welcome back to another edition of Enough Said. My name is Dan Barreiro, joined by Justin Gaard this week and Lori Fisher. Is this our first show together in like 3 or 4 months, or how long?
I don't know. I think you're going a little too far.
Oh, yeah, Lori was off last week.
Thing. Maybe a few weeks.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, Justin
true.
was here last week.
That's true.
You were out gallivanting, some hockey experience you were involved in.
Would you, by the way?
I like to be there for my children every now and then.
Oh, okay.
Here
so
we
we're
go.
going to do that.
The guilt trip.
Would
yeah.
you call us partners, by the way? Do you think we're collaborative partners on Enough Said?
Oh,
Only when you guys text me back.
I think we're partners.
Probably not enough.
Definitely not collaborative because we know who runs it, and that's Lori. So
Okay,
let's go.
well, let's get moving.
Yeah.
The Vikings have a new leader, General Manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. He was the vice president of the football's operation for the Cleveland Browns, and before that with the 49ers front office. The big news conference on Thursday, things got a little emotional when he was talking about his mother, his late father, his fiance. He's confident with making decisions, and the first big test will be who will be the Vikings' next coach, Dan.
I've got a question for you, Lori, and probably for Justin as well. Why do you kids get bought off so easily? A couple of buzzwords get thrown your way.
A couple?
Like
he's likable.
Collaboration,
There was a deluge.
and connectiveness, and I was trying to understate it a little bit.
Yeah.
And a little emotion. And it's like you guys are ready to. I've already heard a retired, very respected Hennepin County judge is already quoting him like he's some kind of a philosopher. And if we've learned nothing over all the hirings and firings we've had over the decades I've been here, it's we get too intoxicated by winning the press conference, as they say in the business. And he won it. Congratulations, he won it. He was very good. He was engaging. He was interesting. He was human, all those things we look for on the front end, but I don't want a philosopher. I want a guy who'll figure out what to do with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. That's what I want.
Well, here, I won the bet that I made with myself. I had the over-under at 90 seconds that Lori would bring up the part about the mom, which was a great moment. It was an unbelievably human emotion moment. That was great. So I won on that front there. This is the grand experiment. We have a front row seat for the grand experiment because the football game, who's manlier than the rest, the mano-a-mano, most physical game we have, has now gone brainiac. They've officially gone Ivy League, but never to this extent, right? Analytics and numbers people
football,
have come into front offices. Obviously, he's an example of that, but to be the person in charge, it's never happened. So I have no idea if it's going to work out. I have no idea if he knows what he's doing. Seems like where he's worked, people liked him. I like the fact that he worked at San Francisco because I do think John Lynch, for example, knows what he is doing over there. We're going to talk about the 49ers here in a minute. So that's what encourages me, that he spent some time. I don't know about his time in Cleveland. I think we might be jumping the gun a little bit on if the Browns have been this reclamation project. But the fact that he was in San Francisco, he's obviously a bright guy. Nobody's disputing that. But nobody has any idea if this is going to work out because this literally is the precedent setter for the Ivy League coming into the front office in this respect.
And here's what bugs me a little bit. The assumption is being made that because it's cutting edge and because he's Ivy League trained and because this is the one sport that hasn't kept up with the others, that he is required, there's no question he's going to succeed.
Well, we have no idea.
We don't know that.
None.
We have no idea. He might be the wrong brainiac, right?
Yeah.
He might be the wrong Ivy League guy. He also might be the best general manager in this team's history. It's just I know part of it is we're needy.
Right.
We're frustrated. We want to think something better is coming here. And the other thing that hit me was he's being described as, man, it was a really good conversation with him and the reporters. There were no tough questions to ask. Well, and that
means nothing. Yeah, that means nothing.
There's no controversy yet. He hasn't made his first move that we're going to either love or despise. So the idea that we're surprised that it went as well as it did, I don't get it. I will tell you, my preference is the guy the Bears got, not because I know him any better,
Ryan Poles,
because I like the fact that he seems pretty modern, he's young, but he also is rooted in some of the football basics that I do think are still important, like scouting, like understanding how to evaluate talent. And by the way, you know what his best strength is? Evaluating offensive line talent.
You think we have a problem with that?
Seconds.
That would have been very helpful, I think. So, again, He may end up being great, but I'm shaking my head about how out of control, over the top this is getting. I think largely because we're told that, well, if it's new, it's got to be better. And there is no guarantee of that being the case.
Well, the only person I remember locally is David Kahn that lost the press conference. But it's like people, you're right, because we grade on a bad curve. Was it Adam Gase, the New York Jets coach?
Nationally, yes.
It was just a blowout
Well, people
loss.
made fun of his eyes.
It was 41 donut, and people said, how did this guy possibly get anywhere in this profession? Anything short of that, or I guess further
we
than that,
didn't even mind Brad Childress.
No.
Now, he wasn't great in that first press conference, but we didn't mind. So that's the point. Press conferences are great because there's nothing to judge on, and we assume every move's going to be a great
one. What is wrong with being impressed right off the bat? I mean, what if it went the other way?
Well, it's almost impossible. That's our point. It's almost impossible to go the other way.
It is almost impossible, and what we've learned is, in all honesty, sometimes in the end, for example, how do you think Bill Belichick's press conferences have gone?
Probably
you
not
think
great.
people have come away blubbering and crying, and so he's not that impressive, but if he makes the right decisions, we're going to love him. And whether this guy's quotable or not, we'll love him if he figures out what to do with it.
He's got some problems. Yeah, he's got some issues
he has
to
to figure out what to do. He needs to hire a new coach to replace Mike Zimmer. Several candidates have been brought up, including D'Amico Ryans with the 49ers and Todd Bowles with the Buccaneers. Should they go with a defensive coach again? He didn't really give us a timetable as to when that coach decision will be made, Justin.
No, he didn't. Of course he didn't. And that was the other great part is he threw out a bunch of work. We're going to dive headfirst in, and we're going to find a guy I want to work with and work for, which is another fancy. Like, I don't know what that means. I assume he's been doing his due diligence. I assume he's been doing his homework. I think we get lazy when we go, well, he's had a cup of coffee with this guy in San Francisco. He's going to cast a wide net. We're already seeing names that we hadn't seen in this original search, right? The Giants defensive coordinator, who we haven't heard of in the first 8 or 9, apparently is going to get a look here. So I have no idea. I said it last week. I don't care if it's an offensive guy, a defensive guy. I am new agey enough on the coaching side of things that, like, I do think you have to find some type of galvanizer where Bill Belichick can be like he is because he's Bill Belichick. He can run it however he wants. Greg Popovich on basketball, same thing. I think you look at the coaches that are succeeding in other levels and other leagues now, they are skewing a little bit different than those old school guys. So I don't care if it's an offensive expert, defensive expert. I just want somebody that everybody kind of gets
Let me let the kids in on another secret. The notion that it's somehow progressive and modern and never heard of before to have the coach and the general manager work well together is absurd.
Yeah.
Well, historically, that has always been the case, that when people work together at those positions, you have a better chance to succeed.
So you're saying there was alignment before alignment became a thing?
I think there might have been before it was called alignment. And again, you know what happens after they stay together a while? Sometimes things go bad, and that's when tension sets in, and they get tired of each other. So obviously, you want to have two people that are on the same page as much as possible. Although, to be honest, I don't mind if there's some tension and disagreement, because sometimes and our new GM alluded to this, that's how you get good ideas, or you may even get your own mind changed if you're willing to listen. I'm with you on whether it's offense or defense is not that big, but it is to this extent. Somewhere here, whether it's the head coach or the coordinator, you got to have a really bright offensive mind, I think, because we understand all the challenges. We've talked about them for months, about what you do with Cousins. Do you want to keep him? Does the GM want to keep him? And if you do, you got to have a guy who says, here's what I can try to do different as we take one last shot at seeing if there's another level to get out of Kirk Cousins. Got to get somebody who's really bright there.
Point,
well, and you have all those weapons. You have Thielen, you have Jefferson, you have Cook. By the way, though, the reason why, let's not forget about defense. Defense wasn't any good the last couple of years, and I think they're about to go through a transition of their own because a lot of these guys were Zimmer guys. From Anthony Barr on down. I know Harrison Smith straddled some eras there, but a lot of them were Zimmer guys built in that mold, so there's going to be some type of transition there, too.
The NFL Conference Championships are this weekend with the winners going to the Super Bowl on Sunday. It's the 49ers at Rams and the Bengals at Chiefs. A lot of football drama last weekend with the Packers, Buccaneers, Bills, and Titans all losing a lot of storylines with those games. Dan.
Lori, did you watch all the finishes? You become a football fan?
I didn't because I was at a hockey tournament.
She was trying to be a mom.
Because you're so devoted to your kids. We're happy
mother
for you.
Again, there
I know.
For my children.
Yes, there for the children.
If you DVR'd it and went back, it was a remarkable weekend. Obviously,
I caught up.
4 great finishes, and I think the number I added up is 150 million views. 150 million views in a country where, TV is so scattered now because you got 50,000 different ways to watch stuff and different channels and Netflix binging the whole bit. And it was not surprising that we get more reinforcement that football is on its own plateau when it comes to sports in this country. But beyond that, you had great games that kept people's attention. I mentioned that what I love is they were different games, even though they were all dramatic.
Yep.
They were played. Some were played in bad weather, one in snow, one in cold, another in relatively warm weather in Tampa, and different kinds of games, offensive games and some games where defense was king as well. And I love that versatility. I would hate to see all the games be 52-48, as brilliant, obviously, as the final game between Kansas City and Buffalo was.
It's truly the only national sport we have now, where baseball used to be the national pastime. NBA has had its moments. Obviously, hockey's always kind of been regionalized, but this is the one that everywhere in the country, I mean, San Francisco, LA, all the way to upstate New York, a couple teams down in Florida, like everybody in the country is locked in on this thing. And here in this part of the country, the state of Minnesota, we can RELAX this weekend, copyright Aaron Rodgers, because the Packers lost.
You are still
we can
reveling
watch the
in
whole
it.
weekend completely stress-free and just enjoy the football, enjoy the winners
So
and losers, enjoy what the Super Bowl matchup is going to be. I do think it's going to be Kansas City and my guy Matt Stafford, but because of what we're watching right now, a great effort by the San Francisco 49ers, another poor effort at Lambeau by the Green Bay Packers. We can just enjoy the football, and we don't have to worry about all of our coworkers from Wisconsin that are going to be arrogant here for the next couple of weeks.
You're one of those phony Vikings fans who actually would rather, if given a choice between the Vikings going all the way and the Packers being eliminated in round one, would take the Packers.
Well, in my lifetime,
so sad.
I've only had the second choice. I've never had the first choice in my lifetime. Of course it is, yes, but I have the self-awareness.
By the way,
I understand that.
The Niners are proof that there's more than one way to win.
That's
too.
true.
They're a fun team to watch,
Yes,
the way they
are.
go about it. It's actually...
Taken away by Edwards. Ants on the loose. Oh, what a great finish by Anthony Edwards. And they've taken care of the basket.
Welcome back to Enough Said. The Timberwolves beat the Trailblazers by 2 points on Tuesday night. Anthony Edwards scoring 40 points. Minnesota has won 4 of their last 6 games, losing to the Warriors last night. They're sitting at 500 right now and play the Suns tonight. Back to Edwards. He had some interesting quotes this week, including that he feels like Black Jesus. Dan.
Well, I'm already on record, and I've actually annoyed a lot of Wolves fans for saying this, especially older Wolves fans, that I think this kid has a chance to be the greatest Timberwolf of all time. And of course, that's supposed to be sacrilegious,
right,
because Kevin Garnett
it's a
was
two-horse
as
race
good
at
as
the
he
moment.
was.
Yeah.
And that's the other side of
Yeah.
it. There ain't a lot of other options. Having said that, I will, I think, politely say to Anthony Edwards, that the Black Jesus generally doesn't wait till the fourth quarter to get started, which is kind of what he did against Golden State and is still the thing that's holding him back. No one can expect him to score 40. He's not even 21 years old yet, I don't think, right?
Right.
So that's the beauty of it, how much he can grow. But he didn't show up, I didn't think, for the first 3 quarters of that game, and he took way too many outside shots, which I think is a bad approach when he's not hitting those and when you know he can get to the basket. So the Black Jesus stuff, it's fun. Some people are lauding his just how he doesn't care that it's not the right thing to say. But if you're going to say it, then I would suggest, again, on national TV,
right,
a game where you've been waiting forever to show what you're capable of, to not bother to show up for the first 3 quarters, to me, is that's not what my definition of Black Jesus from a basketball standpoint would do.
Well, and it may have helped Wolves fans deal a little bit better on that night with Andrew Wiggins making his first All-Star game appearance as a starter, which it really doesn't bother me as a guy who he was never going to be an All-Star here. Obviously, he's in a wonderful situation. I think I might be able to get some votes playing for the Warriors if I just had to hit corner threes and do all that. Good for him. That's great. But I have a dilemma. You brought up the national TV part. They were on TNT on Thursday night. And so as I'm driving home, I hear that the Wolves are keeping it close. Warriors are obviously very good.
They were ahead at the half.
They were.
Yeah.
And Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller, when I get home, raving about the club. Kevin says, what a young, exciting team. Now, he's probably got a vested interest. He used to be one of us. He was the broadcaster on our radio station. And Reggie Miller says, I like these guys. Look out for these guys in the playoffs. It's good. So then I'm excited.
We got to move on.
What is the panel going to say? Chuck, Shaq, Ernie, Kenny, they all absolutely destroyed the Wolves. Charles said they're dumb, they don't know how to play. Guys that shouldn't be shooting are shooting. I'm not interested. Basically just swatted them like a Minnesota mosquito in the summer. So now I'm torn on who to listen to, and I couldn't sleep after that.
That's why they're such a great panel, though. They are fearless and they don't care.
Heartbreakers.
The problem is you're stuck. If on the night they see you play badly, they're going to assume that's how you always play, which probably isn't completely fair.
Moving on.
We need to move
Here's how I'm getting over it.
Yeah.
He also called the Bucks the dumbest team in the history of the NBA.
He did.
On the way to them winning the title. But anyway, go ahead.
I like the way
talk
Towns
about the
played
Wild.
last night. I will say that.
The Wild crushed the Montreal Canadiens 8-2 on Monday. A lot of fighting in that game, in case you guys missed it. Our guy Kaprizov hit 100 career points. The Wild play the New York Rangers tonight and the Islanders on Sunday, so it is a big hockey weekend and football weekend, Dan.
It is a team that continues, I think, really, without the Vikings going through all these big moves, they would be the story in this town. And they're getting lost a little bit because of that story. I don't know what's not to like at this point. They're getting healthier again. They seem to get past that one bump in the road. They're getting all their people back. They're, once again, dominating the Chicago Blackhawks, a team that used to just toy with us forever. And, the future looks really, really good for a team that isn't necessarily known as much for collaboration. I wonder what the lesson might be there.
Right. Well, but interestingly enough, they are about collaboration. They just don't talk about it. I mean, if you listen to what comes out of the room kind of organically, there's another good 2022 word, how they talk about, like Dean Evison this past week, when new guys come in and he said, what a great room to come into. Guys are welcoming, they're accepting. You come in, you have a voice right away. They're about the action. They haven't spent a lot of time telling us about it, right? Bill Guerin, through his actions and through his moves, has kind of set up, I'll use the word, that culture that everybody strives for.
You're just trying to get me going.
No, I'm not really, but my point is, but we don't hear them laud themselves.
They don't
for
make a big deal
about it. They just do it.
The difference, though, is you're right about the locker room. We heard a lot about that, and basically from Evison saying the beauty here is now, and this was a direct shot
at Parisian
Suitor, whether it's fair or not.
It's just part of it.
Yeah, it just is that they were. That basically everybody had to sort of
prove themselves,
get permission to talk in the locker room, and now it's a lot more open and a lot healthier. That's all good, but when I think of Guerin, I think of the guy who he may talk to other people, but he's going to make difficult decisions, and he's not going to necessarily feel like he's got to go through an encounter group and a new age session to get to that place. He's going to trust his instincts enough, and the results are, not finished yet, but they're certainly very favorable.
But last thing, results is a word that comes up because all we hear about now in 2022, and I understand why, is it's about the process.
Right.
It's about putting your best foot forward, and that's good because only one team ends it at the end of the year happy. So, but winning matters to him. He's obsessed with winning, and I think that's trickled down to the rest of the organization.
Justin, I'm still waiting for you to transfer those tickets to me for the upcoming.
That's fake news. That is false. You have them. And I expect pictures from that. And a really nice thank you note.
No, thank you. Moving on, David Ortiz was the only player voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and on his first try, he started his career with the Twins and then became a legend for the Boston Red Sox, being called the greatest designated hitter in baseball history. Meanwhile, MLB lockout talks are progressing but not done. Spring training is supposed to begin next month. Dan.
Well, it's an easy second guess, and it wasn't as if there were a bunch of teams beating down the door to get access to David Ortiz. We do have to remember that.
He was widely available.
But it is, when a guy goes on to be a transformational icon, sports icon, bigger than just a baseball player, helped them win 3 World Series, defined clutch, did it how largely? By hitting this thing called a home run that for years while he was here was disparaged by everybody in the organization as overrated and not that big a deal. I don't even know what the analytics people say about home runs anymore. I'm confused. It kind of goes back and forth.
They seem to like him.
That's what hurts. Because if he, the place he's attained, to have somebody like that in your town, he becomes much more than just another athlete. And he became, obviously, the toast of Boston, and we had him.
Well, and to localize it, basically what Kirby Puckett was here, which the Twins haven't had really since him,
Kirby Puckett.
Right? Torrey Hunter was probably the closest, but you have to have those championship moments to really get the full investing, and that's why Kirby separated himself. And it is hilarious that that's what David Ortiz has become in Boston. a franchise that hadn't had recent success by the time he got there. It's all relative. Hadn't won a championship in forever. That curse was well chronicled. But when the city was attacked in the Boston Marathon bombing, who's speaking?
That's right.
It's David Ortiz rallying people around at the Red Sox game. Everything talking about this is our city and everything that goes with it.
Here's the good news, though. We're in such good place. This organization is in such a good place now that we're not even thinking about the past. We're thinking about the future.
We're moving forward.
Yeah.
Intentional.
Welcome back to Enough Said. The Southwest Light Rail won't open now until 2027 and will cost an additional $550 million at opening date, 4 years behind schedule, Dan.
I don't even know what to say. I mean, this is apparently one where the Republicans, the Sharks and the Jets are coming together.
Yes.
To say, what in the hell is going on? 4 years later now?
That's it.
And no guarantee, by the way, that this new amount of money is going to get it done either. There needs to be, obviously, a serious redo on this.
Was it wrong that I'm more offended? Like, the money's the money. It's all funny money anyway. It's $200 million here, $500 million, whatever. But 4 more years?
4 more years.
That's what stood out to me. 2027 just kind of slid in there.
And that'll change again.
Yes.
It may end up being actually like 2035.
The Gopher men's basketball team is now 2-6 in the Big Ten after losing to Ohio State on Thursday night. Coach Ben Johnson said it didn't matter the lineup. They just couldn't find a way to get the ball, Justin.
Well, they couldn't find a way to rebound, and that was going to be a problem this year regardless. Eric Curry not being in there hurts them, and teams have figured it out. Just go pound the glass. Gophers have been scrappy. They've been plucky. I like a couple of their guys. They've had some good moments, but against some of these Big Ten teams, they got no shot to rebound against some of these groups.
You know what they could use? Randy Brewer.
Randy Brewer, Jim Chickenjansky, Kevin McHale.
A couple of burly front court
Willie
people.
Burton.
Yeah, Richard Coffey.
Yeah.
You can get a board every once in a while.
We got to keep moving. Lakers star Carmelo Anthony went after some 76er fans taunting him last night in Philly. They were calling him boy, saying, "Get in the corner, boy." That language considered racist. The fans were ejected, Dan.
Yeah, eject them, and I'm in the camp of don't take away. If they've got season tickets, they're gone. It's not one to me that there needs to be any negotiation on whatsoever.
It's an enough said moment.
Yeah.
You find out what was said, find out why he was mad, it's over. And it should be. It's ridiculous.
Next up, Minnie Mouse has a new pantsuit, and you would say, well, okay, you go, girl, like wear whatever you want, but some people are upset, as you may expect. Twitter world has issues with it, saying it's destroying the fabric of society because she's not wearing. And this is just for the 30th anniversary of Disneyland in Paris, Justin.
Destroying the fabric of
society. Destroying the fabric of society is one of the quotes that's
so it's traditionalists saying, why are you messing with what she usually wears?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who is mad about it, because it's one of, and I can't spend much time on it. Minnie Mouse, by the way, has changed. She's somewhat of a fashionista, has changed wardrobe.
Have we ever seen Minnie Mouse in a bathing suit? Or would that be considered out of bounds as well?
I think on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, the show, I think she has been.
Well, and as some people say, Donald Duck doesn't even wear pants. So why?
That's the bigger issue.
Why is it so controversial?
That's disconcerting.
Can we get
It's always bothered
pants?
me. I've always been troubled by that.
Can we get? You know why he needs to wear pants? To cover his butt quack.
Of course.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to say
I don't even know.
We
I don't
have
even know
one
how to
more.
answer that.
That's a great dad joke.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Okay.
It's an
Dolly
amazing
Parton
dad joke.
has been on her social media game, and now she has a new cake mix. She teamed up with Duncan Hines, banana cake, coconut cake. Just wondering if you guys had a cake mix named after you, or you would, make one up. What would it be, Dan?
It would have to be probably a meltdown would be in the middle of it, but I don't
sour.
know. This will be. What's going to happen with this cake mix? Now she's going to sell it, or
she's going to make billions of dollars.
I was going to
say she's going to be a cake icon.
Okay.
Justin,
from here on out.
Your flavor?
Well, I mean, given my upbringing in Edina, I have some great expertise. Whichever one it would be phenomenal. It'd probably be a 50th in France, and everyone wearing Lululemon would love it.
I'm a big butter cake guy.